so much for tuning in for another video. I owe you an apology. I was on vacation for the last couple of weeks, but I'm back now. There was a bonus video that up not last week, but the week before that. But then I'm very glad that you're here and you're watching these videos. So this is my third time recording this video. So I think I know the material by heart. If I don't, bear with me. But the first time the camera died, the second time we were having some corrupt footage. So the third time we are here and we are ready to nail it. What you've missed so far in my life is we got a new Tesla, a Model 3, and we got it for practically free. Basically, if you want, in a nutshell, I'll have a whole nother video about it, but basically in a nutshell, it's your assets pay for your liabilities, so it doesn't come out of your pocket. So, thank you so much for watching and listening. This is Self-Development Part 2, and this is how we're gonna change ourselves and how we're gonna develop to be the millionaires that we all want to be and need to be. So I've got my handy dandy notes, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So the first thing that I want to say is, I hope that this is worth your time. I don't say that I hope it's worth your money, and I hope it is worth your money even though it's free, but I hope it's worth your time, because money is replaceable, time is not. It's costing me my time and my money to be here with you today. So I hope that you get your time's worth, not just your money's worth. All right, so we're gonna dive right on into this and follow along, take some notes, as I always suggest, and be a good student. Don't just be a follower, be a good student and take notes, and you chart your own course. Don't just listen to everything I say verbatim. So the first thing I have is your life income is equal to the level of personal development that you're at. So what I mean by that is your life is a direct reflection of how much money you make. And that sounds very simple on one side, but also very complex on the other. And what I mean by that is, if you are a doctor, your level of self-development is higher than an average Joe, therefore you get paid more than the average Joe, right? We've obviously covered in other videos that you don't get paid what you're worth per hour, you get paid off of the value that you add in an hour. So that's a whole nother point though, so make sure that's in your notes. But the level where you are at in life is a direct reflection of how much money you make. Don't ask what am I doing at the job, ask what am I becoming. So when you're at a job or when you're doing something, no matter what it is, right, don't ask them, what am I becoming? What am I going to get paid per hour? Obviously you need to know that if you're inquiring a job, but don't ask them, what am I doing? Ask, who are you becoming? And what I mean by that is, if you are in a marketing firm like I was, right, you don't ask, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to make 60 cold calls a day. Well, that doesn't seem very appetizing or very pleasing, right? But who are you becoming? And notice how I said who. Specifically who, because we target and we try to become individuals as people, not just necessarily, tasks, right? Because if I do the job every day, right, of a marketer, I become a marketer. Like, that's my profession, that's my job, that's who I become. That's the job that I do, and that's the job I become, right? So ask yourself, who am I becoming? Not necessarily what am I doing. And that goes with, and you can even dig in deeper with that, right? Like, what am I becoming on this job? Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? Is this positive? Is this negative? Or vice versa. So make sure that you're asking, what am I becoming here? Not what am I getting paid here. Happiness isn't in what you get, it's what you become. Happiness isn't in what you get, it's what you become. Like, this car is not going to make me happy. You cannot buy happiness. You can, obviously, I think the saying is, you can cry in a nice car, but you cannot buy happiness. So happiness isn't in all of the materialistic things that you get. There's plenty of billionaires and billionaires out there that are not happy at all. So that is clear and that's apparent, right? So happiness is not in what you get. Happiness is in who you become. You become more happy with yourself when you have more time for your kids. When you become more happy with yourself when you become who you want to be, right? So you need to change yourself, which is, this is why we're always in why we're in self-development right now, so you can change yourself so you can become happy, right? Because money does not buy happiness. And then back to the biblical basics, and it's personal development, right? You have to change yourself. It says in the Bible that you have to change yourself, because obviously you can't change every situation and circumstance around you, right? So you can only do you, right? You can only change yourself. So I implore you to change yourself. You need to have goals. And if you don't have any goals, imagine where you would be in life. So just, take a mental picture with me here for a second. Imagine you just got out of high school, you don't know what you want to do with your life, and you have no goals. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're always going to be where you've always been if you've always done what you've always done, right? You always have what you've always done. So if you come out of high school and you have no goals, you're going to jump into debt because you're going to need money and you're going to need to make money, etc., right? But you're not going to get a job, or you might get a job that's a piss poor job because you need money and you don't have goals. So imagine your life without goals, and then on the flip side, imagine you come out of high school and you want to become a veterinarian. Like, that is your goal, and you have a dead goal. You have a dead set goal, and you're going to achieve it, right? Imagine how your life would be 100% different. Imagine the people that you would meet that are different, the people that you would associate with that are different. Imagine your friends, your family, your income, your time, everything would be different, right? So you need to have goals, smart goals, and that'll be a whole nother video just about smart goals. I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s if you don't have any goals. Think about it. I could guess your bank balance within a few $100s if you don't have goals. And, well, you might be thinking, of course you can't, that's impossible, right? All these very factors and everything. Is it? Think about it. If I know you don't have any goals, then I know that you don't, have a lot of money in your bank account, because if you did, you would have had goals to get you there. Like, nobody just gives you money for free. Even, that's why they give you loans and you pay interest. Or even your family could give you a gift of a financial amount, but I promise you'll spend it if you don't have any goals to become successful. If you don't have financial aptitude and financial success, how are you supposed to become successful, right? Like, you don't understand the basics. How can you understand the things that are more advanced? Next point is very similar to what I just talked about, and it's about setting goals can increase your bank balance. So on the downside, if you don't have any goals and you have no money in the bank, and I can guess that, probably $200, $300 in the bank account, depending if you just got paid before all of your bills, then, maybe you're at like $700, $800 or $1,000 depending, but after your bills, right, that's what we're guessing. So, but there's good news. And the good news is that setting goals can increase your bank balance. And we covered that, like what we covered to veterinary school, right? We covered that if you have goals, it'll increase your balance. So set smart goals, and that's the first step, just to increase your income, right? Increase your net worth, increase your value, because you need to become an above average person, right? Like, one of the most frustrating things is trying to get an above average wage being an average person, right? Like, I can't just walk into some place and be like, give me $60 an hour with no credentials. They're gonna laugh at you, right? So set some goals and you can increase the balance in your bank account. The next thing I have is watch out for attitude diseases. And attitude diseases are things that affect your persona and affect your attitude that directly affect you. Because if we're talking about self-development and how we're going to develop ourselves, then we need to talk about the other side, right? If you hang around with negative people, if you hang around with people that don't have your best interest at heart, if you hang around with people that don't actually care about you or your interests, then you are going to suffer. And these are chronic, these are fatal, these can affect you and give you casualties, right? They kill things. Imagine one day you are super hyped and you want to be that veterinary, right? You really want to do that. But the next day, they say, no, you can't do that. No, you're not smart enough. And they affect your attitude. Well, then you're not going to pursue those goals. And then it kills your goal, right? So those diseases are fatal. So be very weary about the attitude diseases. And the best way to fight them off is to just watch the crowd you hang around. Because a wise man once said, you are who you hang around. You are, your top 5 friends, the average of your top 5 friends. So, watch who you hang around and make sure that you hang around people that are smarter than you or as smart as you, minimum, right? So the next thing I have is a major key to a better future is you. It's you. That's a bullet point. That should be in your notes. A major key to a better future is you. As soon as you develop yourself, then you are also the biggest catalyst in your future. Why can two people from the same company, same school, same city, same town, same street, get the same job? They're both salesmen, but one make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much. This guy gets paid $1,000, this guy gets paid $6,000. What's the difference? If everything's the same, they grew up the same, same street, they're friends, same school, everything's the same. Why can two people have everything the same degree, but get paid so much differently? The answer is self-development. If guy A and guy B have everything the same, but guy B has a better work ethic, he's, say he gets paid hourly, so he stays the same amount of hours, maybe he works from home, maybe he has more sales, he closes more deals. The answer is he is more valuable to the company, therefore he gets paid more per hour. He does more in that hour than the other person. Maybe this person is just trying to coast by, but the guy over here is trying to work hard, work diligently. So that's how two people with everything the same can get paid 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much. And that's great news for you, because that means if you change and you become a better person and you self-develop, you can get paid 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much, which is great, right? This guy makes $6,000, this guy makes $1,000. What's the difference? And the answer is not $5,000. Anybody can figure that out, right? Value. You can't get more time. If you go and you ask anybody, can I get more time? Can I get his time? If I could do, if I only had his time, I could get so much more done. Obviously, they take you to the loony bin. You can't get more time, but you can get more value. So he has more value in his time than the other guy. Can you get paid 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much? Just like the guy that we just talked about over here. The answer is yes. And you get paid off of value in the time. So can you add more value in your life so you get paid the same amount that he does? The answer is yes. Well, how? What do I do, Joel? What do I need to do? Right? So the economic lesson number 1, we get paid on value, not on time. It takes time, but we get paid on value, right? Can you make 2, 3 times 4 in the same time? Well, the answer is yes, because you did it, right? So yes, if you're worth it, you can get paid that much. Want to make an above average income? You need to be an above average person. We already covered that. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job, right? Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I know tons of people that work harder on their job than they work on themselves. And they're asking me, Joel Carter, why am I not making an above average wage? And then I have to tell them, well, you're not making an above average wage because you're not an above average person. And you're not an above average person because you're working harder for Toyota, you're working harder for Ford, you're working harder for Tesla, you're working harder for any XYZ than you are on yourself. And doesn't that seem backwards? You're making somebody else a fortune, and you have pennies to your name, bills owed, debt, because you're not working on yourself. You're not taking classes, you're not watching sermons or seminars, you're not doing what you need to be doing, you're not reading the books, you're not taking, listening to the lectures. So why would you expect an above average wage, right? So you need to do those things. You need to change only yourself. That's all you need to do. You just need to change yourself, because you can't change anything else, right? Like, I can't change the taxes, I can't change the economy, don't blame all you've got because it's all you've got. So trust in yourself, trust in God, and follow His footsteps, and as well as follow the guidelines, and we'll get there, right? The only way it gets better is if you get better, period. The only way it gets better is if you get better. Life is like the seasons. You can't change the seasons. Nobody's like, oh, I'm gonna use all this magical power and winter is now gonna be, right after spring. You can't, right? You can't change the seasons. So what you can do is you can work with them. You can work towards it for yourself, right? You can use it to be advantageous to you, right? Not by chance, but by change. That's how you get these levels of success, right? You don't just chance it. You have to work hard and diligently. You have to change. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rough, but you can do it. Handle winters when they arrive, and they always come after falls regularly every time. So what I mean by that is you're going to have winters. You're always going to have winters. We live in life, and that's just it. It is what it is. I have winters, you have winters, and we have different types of winters. Relationship, monetary, friends, family, etc. Right? Handle your winters, and then prepare for the harvest. But you need to sow something so you have something to harvest, right? We're about halfway done. This is going to be self-development part 2, and then we'll wrap up the self-development series, and we'll continue on, afterwards on goals and on, much more in-depth things. Maybe one video will be how I got this Tesla for free on assets and liabilities. But thank you for being with us so far. I just wanted to say a quick thank you again, and please share this message so we can get more people out there that know and understand financial aptitude, financial success, and they can also become millionaires. It's not anything crazy to say I'm a millionaire, right? Like, I'm 23 and I'm already on million number 4. I've just made the 3rd, and I don't feel like it. I feel so blessed and humbled. I work hard, and you should too, but you need to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, or you will never get there. So I'm begging and pleading with you, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Thank you so much for watching. And that means your cash flow, your investments, everything. You either protect it or you lose it. I'm sure that if you ever have a garden up, right? You've planted this wonderful, beautiful garden. It looks lush, it's green. How long until those weeds come up? If you don't protect the plants, your plants, from those weeds, how long until the weeds take over? Not too long. So you need to protect and guard your investment in your portfolio and things like that, right? The next thing that I have, besides obviously protecting your investment, is when do you start? You start today. Today is the day that you say to yourself, I no longer want to be broke. I no longer want to have pennies to my name, pennies in my bank account. Today's the day that I'm tired of all of this. This is when I start to change. And today is the day because it's the law of diminishing intent. And what that means is the longer that you push it off, the less likely you are to do it, because it's not in the foreground, the foreground of your mind, right? It's in the back, because you have 1,000 other things every day that you're thinking about and talking about and trying to do, right? So today is the day that you say, Joel, I want to change. And if that's you want to change today, share this message, say, I'm doing the 90-day challenge, okay? And have people hold you accountable. I'll hold you accountable. Just share me, tag me, do what you got to do. Links are in the description. 90-day challenge, okay? And if you fail once, you redo the 90 days. After these 90 days, I promise you, you will make more than you are making now. If you stick to the plan, stick to the goal, and if you want to do a quick of what these 90 days are going to be, that's easy. Set a goal, a smart goal, one that is easily definable, not necessarily easily attainable, but easily definable, and something that you can hold yourself accountable to. Number 2 is change. Do the self-development. Make the list of why you can. Make the list of things, of what I want to accomplish, what I want to do. Read it every day. Tell yourself that you can do it. And if something is it's something in your way, move it. Move it. If you're like, I'm not getting paid enough at this job, quit. Go to a different job. If this is not your dream job, go get your dream job. Today's the day. And this is the magic formula that I have for you. Read a book, right? Learn the book, understand the book, change yourself. Read, learn, change. Read, learn, change. And what that does, it adds value. That's how you add value to your life. If a book could save you 5 years on your life, would you read it? Honestly, if a book could save you 5 years on your life, would you read it? Most of you would say yes, but most of you wouldn't. There's a ton of books out there that would save you 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of hardships if you just read them. And they take, depending on your reading level, right? Maybe a week to a month. And that's just in your free time. That's not if you're reading it straight. If you're reading it straight, probably a day, right? So that's how you add value, and books save you time. So I highly encourage you to either read a book and is compounds, right? So you read a book, you take a class, you watch my videos, it compounds every single day. You're so far ahead of everybody else, right? And then the next thing is, oh, well, maybe I start saving money on the side, and then it's slingshots, right? It saves you time, it compounds, it saves you years and years and years. And the law of diminishing intent, if you don't start today, whatever you don't use, you lose, right? So say the law of diminishing intent comes in and says, I'm slowly not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And then you get to the point of, oh, I forgot all about it, I can't do it now, right? Then you have the law of use. Whatever you don't use, you lose. So I put this arm behind my back for 1 year. What are the likeliness that this arm would be equal to this arm in 1 year? Imagine 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. I would lose all muscle, circulation, blood flow. It'd probably have to get cut off, right? It's going to be cramped. It's going to be uncomfortable. So make sure that you know what you're using, or you'll lose it. So assess how much money you make and how much you spend. Because if you don't, I promise you're spending more money than you think about. You have unwanted subscriptions. You have all those things. Like, there's literally companies that just do the law of use. They throw it in your face and say, this is what you use, this is what you lose. And you pay them every month. You pay for their service. That's free. You could do that yourself. I think this was Charlie Munger who said this, but don't quote me on that, or maybe it was Warren Buffett. And it basically states there are two ways that we learn. We learn from pain, and we learn from winning, okay? So we have the pain of losing and the joy of winning. But the joy of winning is a bad teacher, because it doesn't necessarily teach us anything. We could be winning and actually be losing. But those are the two things of how we actually learn and understand something. It's the pain of losing and the joy of winning. And what I mean by that is, if I just, I bought a Tesla stock at $100 and I sold it at $600 and made $500 before taxes, that is a joy of winning. But a pain of losing would be, I bought at $600 and I sold at $100. Both of which you will learn from, but pain is a more motivating teacher than success, right? So make sure that you are either listening to either one, but pain is always going to slingshot you more forward than success will. And that's because we don't like being in pain, and we like being in success. So what we do, and what our bodies do a lot of times, is we get complacent about success. Like, oh, this job, I get paid $20 an hour, I'm super comfy, and I'm just going to stay here, I'm going to sit stagnant. Imagine how you were when you were getting paid $7 an hour minimum wage, and how much that pain slingshotted you forward. So pain doesn't have the you get comfortable, success does, which is why pain is always such a more motivational teacher than success is. So don't get complacent is the next point. Now, what we're gonna do is, if you fail at anything in this video, or anything in life, what you're gonna do is you're gonna say, I failed. I'm gonna hold myself 100% accountable. I'm not gonna blame anybody else, anybody on the blame list of the government, my job, my teacher, my mom, whatever, right? We're not gonna blame them. We're gonna blame ourselves. We're gonna own it, because if we get a win, we're gonna own it. If we fail, we're gonna own it. We always own it, because we are the master of our own ship. Obviously apart from God, right? But we have to own it, because we are held accountable. So make sure that if it's bad and you fail big. I mean huge. So you know not to ever make that mistake again. And if you win big, win huge. So you know that it was worth it, and all of the hardships, that got me to this point was worth it. And now this is a biblical principle that I have as my next point, and it says, ask and you shall receive, right? Ask and you shall receive. It says in the Bible that if you ask, you shall receive, and what it means by that is, ask of the Lord and it will come on to you. But you can't get anything if you don't ask. Like, if I want this car, I would have had to ask either, if it was loaned out, I would have asked a bank for the money. I would have asked myself, is this car okay? I would have asked my significant other if it was okay if I purchased this with them. If they needed a co-signer, I have to ask for a cosign, but you have to ask. Life doesn't just give you, you know, anything. It gives you what you ask, right? And I will put a famous poem / quote up, and I'll actually read it to you. Here is the poem that I'm going to read on my phone, and you listen to it carefully. I highly encourage you to just close your eyes so you can get the best, visualization of it, right? I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening, when I counted my scanty score. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, which means, very little, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Jesse B. Rittenhouse. And what that means is, you ask life and it will give it to you. But you have to ask a number, a definitive answer, and say, this is what I want, and it will pay you. I want $20 an hour. Then your life and your decisions are gonna are gonna be off of if you made $20 an hour. If you say, I want $100 an hour, then your life and your decisions will be based off of $100 an hour, and you will get to that $100 an hour. But if you don't ask for a wage, you'll just get the minimum. Because how is the employer supposed to know what you're worth if you don't even know what you're worth? So you might be asking yourself, how am I going to change? How? And that's a great question, and I'll tell you how. This is what we're going to do. Number one, you're going to make a list of reasons why you can, and you're going to tear up the reasons why you can't list. Number two, you're going to say, today I'm going to change, right? You make it like today is the day. You make a list of everything that's in your way, and you start knocking things down off that list. You start watching classes, reading books, watching more of my videos, whatever the case may be. And then the next thing is, what else would add value to your life, right? Like, if a language would add value, learn a language. Coding, English, Spanish, whatever you gotta do, right? Anything that will add value to your life, do it. And then also, set aside some of your income. And I'm not asking for your money, don't worry. Set aside a portion of your income and let it grow. Invest it in something, do something with it. And then eventually, when you have enough money, do your goal, do your dream. What do you dream? What do you actually want to do? And then you put the money that you put aside, and you have your side job or your side gig, right? And you do it. And you do it adamantly, and you do it, to the best of your ability. Right? And then eventually, that side gig will be your main gig, and you can quit your job. So, I think it's a famous quote that says, you work full-time until your part-time pays for your fortune. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate you being here. The next videos will be, what are SMART goals, how to set SMART goals, assets versus liabilities, how I got this car for practically free, and everything else, right? Thank you so much for watching. Share the video. See you in the next one.